Well, it's that time of the month once again where I get to tell you guys about the upcoming events and servants that are going to be dropping over here on the NA side of things for the month of September. And yeah, I know that the last couple of weeks have been a little bit of a content drought, but thankfully we have the next event's date confirmed, and it's going to be a pretty good one. Now, everything that's going to be following after the event might not be as hype, but again, it's going to prepare us for some of the upcoming events that are going to be dropping later on this year that definitely will be worth the wait. So with that being said, strap in, get comfortable, and if you like staying informed, consider maybe subscribing to the channel and leaving a little like on this video, as it does help me out more than you know. But with that being said, let's start talking about the event that's going to be hitting us on September 2nd. This is going to be the next GudaGuda event, and it brings a lot of very powerful servants into the game. Namely, it's going to be bringing in Sen no Rikyu, which you might have heard through the grapevine is a pretty good servant, and that is because following Ruler Scotty coming out and, Arts getting Summer Ibuki, who is effectively the best Arts looper in the game, they did not leave Quick Drowning for too long, and they dropped her in this event, and she's functionally the Summer Ibuki but for Quick. She also has some neat utility for the party, as well as some of her skills do support the party as well. Especially that first skill being an insanely good charisma, if you want to view it that way, giving you NP gain and a quick buff to not just herself but the entire party. But one of the other things that makes her very strong is the fact that she has the man power mod, which is debatably #1 alongside Earth. They just hit so many servants and hit so many random free quest enemies that you'll run into. And I'm sure if you've used somebody like, say, Morgan, you have used that man power mod and have gotten some really good usage out of it. So if you like quick looping, or you picked up Ruler Scotty and you're looking for a looper that you can just use anywhere, consider rolling for Sen no Rikyu, which I would be doing, but I am kind of a Huyan simp, so I'm going to be waiting for October to summon for her, but otherwise I myself would be summoning for her. If you're more free to play and you're wondering if you should try to go for NP2, considering that she could be your main looper, that is not a bad idea to go for additional copies, because she will probably be your main quick looper that you will use all over the place until she hits Bond 15, because she's just that good. Although, fingers crossed so they don't drop some nutty, broken, quick AoE servant for Ordeal Call's second banner that we're speculating that we might get. In which case, worst case scenario, she falls to second place, which is still a good spot to be in. But I did mention that we were getting some other very powerful servants, and while Kisuke is a pretty solid banner servant on his own, he's kind of more of a gimmicky support type servant that you could use with other GudaGuda guys. He's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but probably not going to get broken out very frequently. I mean, it's kind of like Nobukatsu, where yeah, Nobukatsu's really good if you want to use him with Nobunaga units, but unless you don't have like Nobunaga units, you're probably not going to break him out for that. It's actually the free-to-play that I would like to highlight, because let's say you completely whiffed on Summer Ibuki. Io as the free-to-play is an absolute godsend. She is just everything you would want in a looper and more. I mean, she's got the battery, she's got the NP gain for like looping, she's got a good power mod, she's a free NP5, she even gives herself NP damage, so if you want to use her alongside Oberon to really overclock that NP damage with his third skill, she plays very nicely with him. And I mean, this is just more of a convenient thing, but she's packing poison and burn immunity as passive skills, which are just nice to have if you want to bring her to a challenge quest. So even if you did get Summer Ibuki, make sure you get this unit. She's very strong. I personally used Io to farm the 90++ for this event. So if you're more free to play and you're like, ah man, I don't know if I could do the 90++, thankfully, she's a ruler. You have a giant 1 million HP BB that Io can just absolutely splatter. And keep in mind, I did that without Oberon or Black Grail on my JP account. So even if you're not going to use her outside of the event, she's really worth considering for the event's 90++ node for making your life a lot easier. Now, we should also be getting a rerun for all of the past GudaGuda servants. Now, this was tied to an exhibit commemoration campaign over on the JP side of things, but I imagine they'll just roll this into the event as the secondary banner because it just makes sense to bring all these guys back. And you got some pretty good options to go for here. I mean, Mao Nobu's very solid. Izumo, I think, is very good. Okita Alter is even very solid after the latest buffs. I mean, actually, just looking down the list of servants, Himiko is good. Okita is very fun to play with. And then you even have some solid banner unit options in people like Okita Jet Soji, the assassin, or Saito if you just feel like burying people. I mean, you just have some really solid guys on this banner. if for whatever reason you don't feel like going for Rikyu. Now, if you wanted to go for more of the meta options, then yeah, probably don't summon on this banner, but I can understand it's pretty hard to resist because there's a lot of very likable guys on this banner, and a lot of them are very good, except for Hijikata. But even then, I guess if you're a fan of Hijikata, you can do some funny things with him. Hey, if you grab the Necromancy seat, you might be able to proc it infinitely and really have him do a butt ton of damage. But after that, it's going to be a little up in the air as to what we're going to be getting over here on NA. Now, I suspect that because it runs to the 22nd, they will squeeze in the Road to Lostbelt 7 Atlantis campaign in there, which does bring back some very powerful units, specifically Super Orion. If you want to crit people into oblivion, then this is definitely your guy. And if you thought that they were kind of going slow with the Road to Lostbelt 7 stuff, I feel like they kind of speeded up here at the very end of the year because they started really late at the beginning where we're just like, dude, come on, like get these things in here, like let's get this show on the road. Because shortly after the Atlantis one drops, we also get the Olympus one as, you know, 5.2, the secondary part of Lostbelt 5. I don't think that will find its way releasing in September, although I guess it's not impossible because the Olympus one begins as soon as the Atlantis one ends. So if they start the Atlantis one kind of either during the GudaGuda event, like, you know, maybe on the last week of the event, then yeah, we could definitely see the Olympus campaign taking place in the month of September. But if not, maybe it's like the last couple of days of September / like, you know, the 1st of August, you know, somewhere around there. So don't be surprised if you do see somebody like Romulus come back on Raid Up or the Dioscuri twins, but I'm not going to focus too much on them because I don't think we'll see it at the end of the month, but I could be wrong on that one. It kind of just depends on how tight they want to have the schedule being, but they seem to be kind of a little loose and being a little lackadaisical with how they release things, as, you know, they could have definitely dropped the GudaGuda event right after summer, but just decided not to. Now, for the Atlantis campaign, it's going to be bringing back those recollection quests, which even if you can't take down these super big, massive, you know, like 3 million HP enemies that have like 3 different break bars for the teapots, you should still go through and beat the first round of bosses. That way you can get your 3 tickets, and don't ever slight tickets. I know they feel bad most of the time. I mean, hey, even in one of the summoning videos that I have coming out in a couple of days here, I don't even use my tickets because I'm like, man, just give me a ×10 for ticket summons, you know? But even I can't lie, I've pulled some really good units on tickets. I've pulled Morgan, I pulled Melusine, I pulled Skyhawk, and every little ticket matters as they push you to one additional summon that might get you that servant that you're chasing. And these fights aren't actually too bad. The first one is going to be up against Canis, the one where you are forced to bring Super Orion. But also remember, they buff up Super Orion for this fight, so he can do some pretty decent damage against Canis, and then he can kind of nope out, and you should be able to finish her off from there. Obviously, it won't be as impactful going into the, you know, super recollection version, but again, if we're just talking about the recollection quest, it's not too bad. The second fight is against Corday, and really the only hard part about this fight is that you have to beat up Corday, and that might just have emotional repercussions, because I don't want to fight Corday again, man. After reading that Lostbelt chapter, I don't want to fight her again. This is depressing. But if you can get through the emotional hurdles, then you will be able to get through this pretty easily. I mean, bring any decent single target servant, or you might even be able to get away with bringing any AoE servant that's a caster, berserker, alter ego. And they should have a pretty good time going up against Corday. And then the last fight is going to be against a big ol' Cerberus, which, I don't know, the most annoying thing that that guy does is, you know, he gives himself 1 hit of invincibility at the beginning of the turn functionally, so you gotta like attack him with the face card before you do your big damage. And then on the final break bar, you know, he gives himself an additional tick of NP every single turn. So, all right, you watch out. He's really going to be charging that NP. But even for the normal boss fight, he is quite tiny. You should be able to beat him up quick, fast, and in a hurry and make short work of him. So make sure you get those fights done. You know, make sure you get your tickets and all that good stuff. And also do not forget to do your rank ups over here. Now, not everybody is going to have Achilles or Chiome, as they are gold rarity units. You know, Achilles being a 5-star, Chiome being a 4-star. Not guaranteed that you have them, but they are pretty decent buffs for them, as Chiome is finally getting her power mods, the one against curses and the one against demonic enemies, which is really strong for her. It makes Chiome quite the strong single target arts unit, so if you do have her, rejoice, she's going to be a lot better. Achilles is getting a damage buff as he is getting an NP upgrade, and will also be able to crit a little bit harder after the strengthening, so if you do have him, you know, rejoice, he's going to be a little bit better. But one that everybody will be able to do is the one for Jason, you know, basically baby Muramasa over here, where he will not only be able to do a bit more damage with the NP upgrade, but he's also going to be providing 20 stars every turn for 3 turns, which is just nice. I mean, I've used Jason to get through some farming nodes myself. You know, if you're going up against Lancers, guy is pretty decent because he's stacking that arts buff, so he's progressively doing more and more damage and is doing better with the looping as he's getting a higher and higher arts buff. but it's also just kind of nice because if you need to use a face card or something, the fact that you guaranteed have 20 stars in rotation every single turn, it's just a nice thing to have if you're going to use them with someone like Lady Avalon. It's just more guaranteed stars in rotation. Not that she's producing a lack of stars, but hey, now it takes the load off her a little bit to produce those stars. The only unfortunate thing is that he does have a crit buff, but it's for everybody except himself. You know, he does not give himself all the Argo buffs on his third skill. So hey, Lisango, get on it. Fix that third skill. Let him give himself the buffs. I get it. He's like a leader person. He's trying to like help everybody else out. You know, he's not the fighter person. That's like Herc's job, and you know, Canis, they're supposed to do all that. But come on, just let him get these buffs, man. You know, let him get it's 30% crit damage. Let him have it. But after that, we might also see Advanced Quest Part 9 drop after the Atlantis campaign. I think they can get away with just kind of sticking this in there. And I kind of hope they do, because I would like to start getting these CEs sooner than later, because there are certain mats that I'm starting to run out of. And then just getting one for Seeds, Dragon Fangs, and Stingers, it just makes the world of a difference. You would not think that that 5% matters, but once you start getting a couple of these and you're doing multiple runs on free quests, which are normally like super grueling, it just makes the runs a lot easier. I mean, when I was doing the Koyan Dark video, I had to get all of her skills leveled, and normally that would just take me an innumerable amount of time. Like it might take me like 4 to 6 hours of farming, but I got it done in like 2, just because the additional bone drop rate because of those CEs was immensely helpful. Now, I will drop a more in-depth guide when it actually confirms releases over here on the NA side of things, but if I remember correctly, the first one for the Seeds, that is more of like a pun thing where you have to hit the specific enemies. Like, it was a little weird to do in the JP version of things because you couldn't like tell like what their names were, because it revolves around like good wolves and bad wolves, and you're supposed to distinguish between the two, but it was kind of difficult to find out which one was which. In English, I imagine it'll be infinitely easier to get done. The Stinger one, I'm not gonna lie, you could try to engage with the gimmick where it's like, oh man, if you take out one of the guys, you're gonna get a big 5k damage. Bro, I just tried to run through it as fast as I could, which you'll notice is the general strategy over here on the ZTL channel. I'll only try to stall things if I absolutely have to, which I think I kind of had to do a little bit, because I believe, if I remember correctly, doing this again, it's about 2 years ago when I last cleared this quest. But I do think if you try to brute force farm it, I believe you don't have enough HP to get through it, or it's very close a lot of the times. I think you do need to kind of try to sustain your way through it, as they are going to be taking a big chunk away from you every time they hit you and whenever you defeat a lot of the enemies. Again, that's kind of more my vague recollection of getting through the quest. Don't worry, I'll drop a more in-depth guide when it actually releases over here on the NA side of things. But the Fang one, the one with Medea, I remember vividly, because this one I cleared about 6 months ago, because it is really, really annoying. It's going to take a little bit to, you know, kind of go through the gimmick, but basically you have to defeat all of the Dragon Tooth warriors around Medea in very specific orders, and then in these like little increments you're able to chip away at Medea's HP, because all of like the Dragon Tooth warrior guys have different guts. Like some of them have 1, some have 2, some have 3, and they all spawn, and you got to beat all of them at the same time, and when they're all down, then Medea is vulnerable. This one I remember with a burning passion. This was the one that I saw and I was like, dude, are these even worth doing anymore? But they hid it behind the Dragon Fang, you know, CE, which is immensely worth it. You know, a lot of servants need those, and in high quantities. So again, I'll drop the guide when that one officially releases over there, but dude, I'm just getting a headache thinking about having to run through that again. My suggestion is, if you just want to do what I did, I brought a single target and an AoE, and then a sustainability servant. I believe it was the OG Merlin, as I did not have Proto Merlin at the time, then Ibuki as the AoE, and I don't remember who my single target was. But the Dragon Tooth warriors are super weak. It can be like somebody, ironically enough, like your own Medea. They have unironically like 6 to 8k HP. So just somebody that you can specifically use to take out guts without triggering other guys' guts, and then just, it snowballs. I'll get it out there once it officially drops. But dude, it's just one of the most annoying quests I've ever done. I absolutely hated doing that one. But on that note, that's pretty much everything that we're going to be getting and possibly getting over here on the NA version of the game. Main thing is GudaGuda. We're definitely going to be getting the Atlantis campaign. Might see the Olympus one, although I didn't go too in depth with that one because we're probably not going to get it. I imagine it kind of slides into August. Same thing for Advanced Quest 9. Not sure if we're going to get that one, but they might be able to slide it in right at the end of the month. So let me know what you're most looking forward to in the comments down below, and let me know if you're going to be pulling on any of these banners that are going to be dropping. I would say the main ones to be looking out for are Senno Rikyu dropping and Super Orion, as those 2 units are very, very good. But hey, maybe you're a Maonobu enjoyer, maybe you're just an Okita enjoyer like myself. And if you're going to be going for either one of them, let me know that in the comments as well. But with all that being said, if you found the video helpful, again, I would appreciate a like on the video, maybe a subscription to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace late, guys.